So, Classic Thai Buddhist Amulets, I believe, Volume 8. Having ADHD, I can never remember. Going to have a look through some amulets that you may or may not know to increase your knowledge and to maybe help you know of some amulets you may have or have inherited from your parents or grandparents and not know what they are. And just as amulets go. So here we go. This first one is a Pratpita from Lumpo Su Pot, released in 2484. And probably any left that weren't released were put in the 2485 Indochina war ceremony, the second biggest blessing ceremony in the history of Thai Buddhist amulets. As you can see, between the cracks on the you can see here on the cracks between the arms here, the formation of Pang, the Pong Putakun, the very fine chalky powders have been forced up through the Wan Geson, the Wan Dok Tong, golden flower herbs and other herbs, and you can see the natural shrinkage and holes being made and bumps from the shrinkage and loss of moisture as it dries over the ages, yeah. And very beautiful, and one of the more rarer pimp of Lumpo Su Pot's 2484/85 Indochina edition. I have a look at the back face so we can see the Muan San, and maybe just come up. Well, it's not that clear, so you can see the formation of Pang, the unevenness of the crab on the back, which is real crab, because fake crab will usually look completely uniform all over the surface, whereas here you see on different parts of the surface it's different. So this was from 2484/85 BE, Lumpo Su Pot. Many amulets in that edition, and made with Pong Wat Rakang as well, given by Lumpu Nak and Lumpu Hin. And at some point after 2500 to 2505 also Jiao Kun Tiang, who became the abbot, who I believe is still current abbot if he's still alive, and I believe he is, all joined in the ceremony as well. So the next one is the Kun Pen Plai Diao of Lumpo Som of Wat Burapharam, yeah, which is I'm not sure, because Wat Burapharam is a temple of Lumpo Dun, so Wat Burapharam might be the same temple actually. Lumpo Som from 2513 BE. Oh, Wat Burapharam in Suphanburi, yeah. This was blessed. Actually, it's included in the pantheon of Lumpo Mui, and most people will call it a Kun Pen Lumpo Mui, yeah, of Wat Don Rai. But it was blessed in 2513 for Wat Don Burapharam to help raise funds for the temple. And you can see the it's in Nerdin, Nerdin Thai sacred earths, and you can see the side edges here, the effects of shrinkage. And here the back face, you can see the very stony effect that it is a baked clay type amulet. But it has wan in it as well. It's a sacred powder amulet, but it's almost like baked clay, yeah, because it's so hard and dry. And you can see the Pong Putakun, or the Pang, which is, as once more, but there's a lot on this, forming in the ridges. It always forms in the recesses between the protrusions of the amulet. yeah, but not so much on the surface of the protrusions. So that's always something to look for, that it doesn't just cover also the protrusions and stuff, because that's usually fake crap, fake mildew sprayed on. So here's the next one. This is the Prat Somdet To, Pim Somdet To, in ว่านสบู่เลือดผสมสีพึ่งเขียวเกี้ยวสาว the green สีพึ่ง paste, or lip wax as Singaporeans like to call it. It's actually a pry-oil potion in a waxy form. I call it a waxy potion from Lumpo Tap of Wat Kun Pen. Yeah, also blessed with Lumpo Tim of Wat Lahan Rai, which is why you also see amulets of Lumpo Tim mixed with the Si Pung Kiao, Kiao Sao, the great Mahasane Si Pung Pry oil potion of Lumpo Tap, also in amulets of Lumpo Tim as well, because they were friends and accomplices in magic. Yeah. And I think this came out about 2512 BE, I'm not sure. And this is a very beautiful example. You can see the thumbprint of Lumpo Tap on the back. And this is in ว่านสบู่เลือด mixed with สีพึ่งเขียวเกี้ยวสาว of Lumpo Tap. Excellent pim, very, very clear indeed. Beautiful. And this is the Prat Bok Po, Patatpanom, Wat Patatpanom, the very famous temple with the Buddha's chest bone relic inside the Chedi Stupa in Patatpanom. Patat means Buddhist relic. Yeah, Panom means to pray with your hands, pray sacred. Patatpanom, yeah. And Wat Patatpanom is in Nakhon Panom. And so this is the edition called the Run Patatpanom Paramachedi, probably with a restoration of the Chedi Stupa, and was released in 2537 BE, and is made from Ner Chin Ngen, which means it will have mercurial alchemical metallurgical alloys in it, a little bit of lead, and a lot of silver, which you can see that it is actually to the most part solid silver, but it has alchemical mercurial alloys in it as well. Mercury is actually more expensive than silver. This amulet is actually very affordable for its sacredness and its price, and the Geji Ajans who blessed it. So this is the rear face, and you can see the Chedi of Patatpanom on the back. Yeah, Ner Chin Ngen. Very interesting for those who like to study amulets in Ner Chin and Ner Takoa and Prakro, and amulets made from lead, because it's very difficult study to estimate the age and their environmental conditions as they age. So it's good to have from different eras and then compare them to see how they age and how the crab begins to explode from inside, not sprayed over the top. Because if they get very old and have been buried, then they will start to have little explosions with them, with the ancient ones. This one is not yet ancient, it's only 2537, which would make it about 57 years old or something right now, and almost 60 years old. It's 2022 as I speak. This one, I have one in box. Actually, this is mine. And it is the Prat Pimwanta Sema Wat Plap, the very famous Wat Plap amulet, which represents His Majesty King Rama I before his ordination, holding a lotus flower in front of the Sema boundary wall of the temple, of Wat Rakhang. Or I'm not sure if it was Wat Arun or Wat Bawan. I think it was Wat Bawan. Yeah. And this image was made by Prat Sankarat Suk Gai Tuan of Wat Plap, who is the along in the lineage with Ajahn Sang and other masters of Wat Plap. And most of the great masters of Thai Buddhist amulet history all learned their magical Bucha at Wat Plap, including Lumpo Ring and Lumpo Su Wat Pat Klong Makam Tao, and most of the other famous Geji Ajahns you will have heard of, Lumpo Ring and so on. All Lumpo To of Wat Padu Chimpli, all passed through to pass their test of magical powers at this temple. Anyway, this particular one was released as a Yon Yuk of the amulet made by Pratsankarat Gai Tuan and released in 2516 BE. But it is classed as an amulet of Lumpo To of Wat Padu Chimpli, even though it is, and this one comes with box, Wat Plap 2516 BE Yon Yuk Remembrance Memorial Edition, using old powders of Wat Plap. As you can see, the worm lines, you can see on the surface the worm lines, which is typical. You'll see it in amulets of Lumpurit, of Wat Plap, of Lumpo To, and also of Somdet To and Ajahn Sang, because they're all the same schooling of making sacred powders, and you will often see this. So this is actually usually sold as the Pratwanta Sema 2516 of Lumpo To Wat Padu Chimpli, but actually it was commissioned and made for Wat Plap, because it's an original Wat Plap design using Wat Plap powders by the abbot of Wat Plap as a memorial to the original, made in the times of 150, 160, 170 years ago, depends what year you're listening. It's 2022 now. Of Pratsankarat Gai Tuan. But blessed by Lumpo To at Wat Padu Chimpli. So this is the Pratwanta Sema 2516 of Lumpo To Wat Padu Chimpli. But now you know the background information, and you can still see some remaining image of the tramuk, of the rubber ink stamp on the back face. And this one is the Prat Rod Waxy Muak Glau from 2517 BE, yeah, which was made blessed through Somdet Pratsankarat, who travelled to preside over the ceremony along with Lumpo Gasem and Lumpo Si and many Wat Tam Khao Bun Nat and Lumpo Gasem Kemago of Samnak Song Susan Prat Trai Lak in Lampang and other Geji Ajahn. So very, very, very powerful blessing from great masters in Nepong, as you can see. And I'm not sure what year this was released, but probably about 2516 or something. I'm not sure what year this was released, yeah. And here is the rear face. Very, very beautiful Patatpanom powders, very clear cut model. And absolutely fantastic blessing with the Sankaracha and Lumpo Gasem, Kemago and Lumpo Si, Wat Tam Khao Bun Nat, and other masters whose names you will know. I just can't remember. This is the Prat Somdet Tan Mi Jut. This very preferred model, as you can see on the dais of the Buddha. Under the bottom there is a round ball, which we call Jut, means a spot or a dot. Tan Mi Jut of Wat Prasad Punyawat, which was the fourth biggest blessing ceremony in the history of Thai amulet making. And the 2506 rebuilding of the Uposatha shrine room ceremony where Ajahn Tim from Wat Shanghai and Geji Ajahn from all over the country came, up to, I believe, 245 monks, or somewhere around that number, came to bless Lumpo Tim, Lumpo To, Lumpo Suk, Wat Pak Klong Ma Kham Thao, Lumpo Thong Suk, Wat Tanot Luang, so many masters, 200, almost 250 masters came to bless, and they brought block presses from their temples, and they brought powders. Ajahn Tim brought powders. Wat Kun Pen gave powders. Wat Rakang gave powders. There were Ajahn Tim gave Dingagayaks, sacred peat marsh earths from Lumpurit, and the Lumpurit block press from Wat Shanghai. And Kun Pen let them use the block presses. And this is why you see so many, Wat Get to you see that the block presses and the amulets are made from block presses from famous temples of famous amulets. This particular one, as you can see here, has a jut. Tan mi jut. Yeah. This is a preferred model. Yeah. And have a look at the back face. You can see this has been placed on Mai Gadan. It has the typical Wat Prasad Muan San powders with this scratchy line effect, which I call Lai Mai Gadan. Mai Gadan means blackboard. It just means like a piece of plywood or something, and placed on a piece of plywood to dry out when it was wet clay. So it gives this effect, yeah. And you can see, for example, here a chunk of Kun Pen amulet powders, yeah. And there are other things in there. You can see little pieces of bailan, and there's all sorts of Muan San in there, and it depends which amulet, which block press, yeah. But this one is the Tan Mi Jut, and it is a preferred model and quite difficult to find, yeah. This particular one is the Prat Somdet Pong Lai, or some people call it, some people call it Lai Sua, which I wouldn't say, tiger lines, because it's green. If it was black and orange or yellow, then yeah. But they call it Prat Somdet Pong Lai, with markings, meaning with a pattern. Yeah, Sam Shan, three tiered days. From Wat Jiao Am. Wat Jiao Am is, I believe, Suphanburi temple, and it's very close to Wat Yai Chai Mong Kon, the very famous temple of Lumputin. Sorry, Lumputin is Wat Palai Lai. Wat Chai Mong Kon in Suphanburi, which was where the Pat Kun Pen Bang Krang was found. Yeah, but Wat Jiao Am, actually, the abbot is not very famous with foreigners or even with Thai people, but he's one of the most important monks in Thailand, and he's actually taking care of very many famous amulets hidden. I happen to know and be privy to this information, that for release at later dates, there are amulets that people would go crazy for that are buried in his temple, and every so often he releases a secret and digs some up. But anyway, these ones were made at Wat Jiao Am in 2516. Knowing 2516, I know around that time there was a very, very, very big ceremony with Geji Ajahn coming from around the country to bless certain amulets like the Somdet Get, Mai Sao Bot Wat Rakang, Chaw Wat Rakang, from the Chaw Fa, the spires of the roof of the temple of Wat Rakang. 200-year-old, well, actually hundreds of years old, which during the time of Somdet Do at Wat Rakang, when they were restoring, they took the old ones out and they used them to carve Prat Somdet out of the wood of the temple roof struts of Wat Rakang temple from 200 years ago, from the time of Somdet Do, and made a very, very few amulets. And I know that's where they are. They're at Wat Jiao Am. So Wat Jiao Am is kind of like the Federal Reserve for secret Federal Reserve for valuable rare amulets. And the abbot is also doesn't seek fame and stays in the shadows, but actually he's very trusted and given great importance for preserving the Buddhist amulet tradition. So this was released through him at Wat Am, and probably blessed by Lumpo Pen, Lumpo Malai, and other masters, because any ceremony at Wat Am, there's usually some of the top masters of the time, of the country. A very beautiful amulet, green and white powders. You can see on the rear face the stamp, Wat Am stamp, and a nice mixture of Muan San. It's nice for study, to study the difference of how each Muan San is adapting to and changing, and if they are changing equally or unequally with the atmosphere. That's an interesting study for Muan San, and a beautiful Somdet indeed. This is a Prat Somdet Brokpo, the Bodhi tree amulet. You can see Ma on the left and A on the right of the elbows of the Buddha, and around his Hubai Si, curved ears, and top knot, you can see the Bodhi leaves cascading down as he sits under the Bodhi tree. And this is from Lumpo Le of Wat Prasong in Petburi, so famous for his sakyant of Lingautua. He did once 9 on a certain member of the royal family, and the number 9 should tell you which, and after which he refused to do more than 8 on anybody, and usually only 1, but he had 9 different versions of Hanuman, Sakyant Hanuman tattoos, famous for his Hanuman tattoos. This has the rubber ink stamp, as you can see on the back. Lumpo Le, Wat Prasong, Petburi. Quite hard to read. It took me about an hour under the microscope to make sure it did say that, because this pimp is very hard to find. I don't know what year, but I would imagine it to be early mid-era. So you're probably looking about 2530 or something like that for the time. This one is the Prat Pitta Mahala Pimyai, first edition from 2521 in Nơ Pong. Well, I'll say Nơ Pong Wan in herbal powders, 108. And it's from Lumpo Di, of I always have problem saying this. Of what Bang Kanti, Kandi, Kanti. Some people say Kanti. I will say Wat Bang Kanadi, Kanadi. Because of my understanding of Pali Sanskrit spelling, I would have to say Wat Bang Kanadi, but some people might say Wat Bang Konti, or Wat Bang Kanadi Nai, and also very beautiful Pitta amulet here. Wat Bang Kanadi Nai. Not sure what year, but I would assume about 253 plus, and I know there were a lot of famous Geje Ajan involved in this, and probably, I don't know, but I would assume the presence of Lumpo Pair of Wat Pigungton, but not sure. So I think I'm going to study and review this particular amulet as a short video, because I need a little bit more information on that. But it's a beautiful amulet. And it was released, I believe, in... it's the first edition. It's a Pimyai first edition from 2521. From Lumpo Di. Yeah. It's the first edition, 2521. พิมพ์ใหญ่พระปิตามหาลาภ of หลวงพ่อดีวัดบางคณะวัดบางคนทีใน say the Thai way วัดบางคนทีใน This one is the Somdet Gaoshan, so it's like a gate chayo, a 9-tiered dice a little bit. Ta bronze tong with gold powders from the great Lumpurit, who in the 2555 era, 2553 to 2555 era, so let's say 10 years ago, the amulets he was releasing 10 years ago, which is towards the end of his aged trajectory, were very popular and famous for being very low priced. But as people found out that this was actually the end of his trajectory, the latter end, and that he had a long history of amulets behind him, and that he was direct connected and knower of Lumpo Suang, Tewada Lendin, the 500-year-old monk, allegedly 500-year-old monk of Sisaked, and that he himself is a Luxit of many great masters, and a great master in himself. Lumpurit is now no longer seen as he was known as a good master with powerful amulets at very cheap prices. Now that's not true anymore. He got so popular that all of his amulets depleted, and I'm talking about the ones from 10 years ago. This one is an early era one. Yeah, I'm not sure what year. Have a look at the back face, might say. No, it doesn't say, but this is an early era one. So Lumpurit, very old monk. You're probably looking at about 2500 plus 2500 to 2510 or something. So very early era Lumpurit amulet. It was now very, very popular because it got out, even though he stayed in the shadows. You can't forever if you really are a powerful monk, because your amulets end up, something happens to somebody, saves their life, or they believe it does, or they win the lottery or whatever. But Lumpurit's amulets are very, 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 very rare and popular now. They're not super expensive, but they were known for being highly affordable, and they are now more of the general market price of amulets of this caliber and monks of this caliber, which I believe to be fitting for Lumpurit, because finally he has received the recognition he deserves as a great Geji master Ajahn of his time. This is the Somdet Pimyai Lumpo Noi Wat Thammasala 2511 BE, yeah, with the Yan Putto either side and the Buddha inside a sum, inside an arch, and on the back you can see the name of the temple he made it for, which was Wat Hong Pla. I can never quite say it properly. Wat Hong Pla. I'll call it the Wat Hong Pla because the long name, my tongue gets twisted. Wat Hong Pla. So he made this for another temple to raise funds and released it in 2511 BE. Also a rare amulet. Usually ones released at other temples will be cheaper than ones released directly at Wat Thammasala by Lumpo Noi. But in this case, this particular amulet is highly favored and is roughly the same price as ones directly released at the temple. Yeah. Biyaram, I just call it Wat Hong Pla. And this is the Somdet Lang U of Lumpo Ring, one of my favored, one of the masters I like to collect, of Wat Nong Bua. I like to collect masters who have had 3, 4, 5 lines of monks apprentices continuing the tradition over hundreds of years, of generations. So Wat Nong Bu in Kanchanaburi is such a place because of Lumpo Yim, his predecessor, and his antecessor, Lumpo Ring, yeah, Wat Nong Bua. Lumpo Ring and Lumpo Yim, both of them actually equally popular, but Lumpo Yim being the older master and mentor, more expensive. This is the Somdet Lang O of Lumpo Ring of Wat Nong Bua in Kanchanaburi, and was released in 2497 BE. Yeah. And I would say this is in นื้อดินผสมว่าน earths and herbal powders. And some people call it the Lang O, yeah. Somdet Lang O. Some people call it Somdet Lep Mơ because it looks like a thumbnail. Called Lang O, which you'll also see on the amulets of Lumpo Thap, who I mentioned before, in the Somdet image, mixed with his green sea pung. His preferred ones will also have a O on the back like this. So it's actually a unalom, not a O, and a kom O. Sanskrit O looks different to this, but the so-called amulet experts of the societies cannot read kom, most of them, whereas I can because I'm not just an amulet student, trader, and teacher. I'm also an ex-monk and ex-lessee and linguist, and also well-versed in ancient kom, magical script. So this is not Lang O, it's actually Lang Unalom. But the official name is Prat Somdet Lang O of Lumpo Ring, of Wat Nong Bua. Don't get mixed up because you also have Lumpo Ring of Wat Bang Rahong, who I also like and collect. So here we now look at the Somdet Yai Kang Yan, which means a big Somdet with a yant on the side, from very popular and hard to find his amulets, even though he didn't start releasing until about 254 plus, known for releasing. He was releasing before, but he didn't really get popular until about 2543 or something. Somdet Yai Kang Yan Lumpo Tat Pawaro Wat China. So Lumpo Tat Wat China, very, very popular in Thailand and with foreigners. Equally popular with foreigners, Lumpo Tat from Petburi. It's the first edition, 2505 BE, Somdet of Lumpo Tat of Wat China. And not his cheapest amulet, I'm afraid. Beautiful. And with his hand inscription on the back. He used to like to use saisek, which is a sacred sand for places you meditate in the forest and stuff. It's like it's very thin gravel and mix it in, which gives it part of this powdery ground texture, dry, yeah. So let's move on to away from powders now and on to something metallic, a rien, which happens to be one of mine. And this is for VIPs only. You have to ask me. The Rien Yod Kun Pen Lumpo Chem from Lumpo Chem, Thanat Sago of Wat Don Yai Hom. Lumpo Chem was the following on first apprentice of Lumpo Ngân of Wat Don Yai Hom in Nakhon Pathom master. Both Lumpo Chem. As I said, I like to collect amulets that have lineages. Yeah, like Wat Sapan Sung, you have Lumpo Iem, Lumpo Chön, Ajahn Lumpo Chön, Lumpo Thong Suk, Lumpo Grin, Lumpo Sanya, not Lumpo Sanya, Lumpo Grin, yeah, and so on. Yeah, and not Lumpo Sanya. What is it? The latest Lumpo Wat, the latest abbot. So like 4 or 5 generations of masters, all continuing the same Vicha. Or Wat Krang Bangkeo, you have Lumpo Bun, you have Ajahn Pai, you have Lumpo Perm, Lumpo Chua, Ajahn Kong Sanya. We're talking 4 or 5 generations of monks passing on the Vicha Jindamani, the Vicha Biage. So like hundreds of years old being passed from mouth to ear, hand to hand methods. So I like to collect amulets of temples like that. And this is such a temple, Wat Donyai Hom. Yeah. The present abbot is great. The previous abbot, Lumpo Chem, was great. And the previous, his master, Lumpo Ngen, was great. And all of their amulets are of high standing, and Pratnium amulets. This is in a gold casing. And as I said, it's called the Rien Yod Kun Pen. It's a Buddha image. I would call it a Prakri Bua. But Yod Kun Pen is something to do with a Thai historical figure and the Lumpurit era. But I think the name of the amulet will be given more because it's supposed to serve Amnat Barami. So if you are need high official status, you're in government, yeah, or you need to raise your status and your commanding power, then you would Yod Kun Pen, which is good for that. And this is in Nua Tong Dang Rom Dam, and is a first edition amulet of Lumpo Chem of the Rien Yod Kun Pen first edition, released in the year 2516 BE, and it has the Yant Nam Tao, the good yantra, on the back with the kata Namo Puttaya and 3 Unalom above it, yeah, and kata Akom written below, which I don't have my glasses on, so I won't read it for you because I will probably read a letter wrong. My eyes are a little bit blurry, so I could somebody could ask me what it says here, and I'll tell you, but I can't see with my eyes in the moment. So there you go, the Rien Yod Kun Pen Lumpo Chem, Tanun Tsago of Wat Donyai Hom, Nakhon Patom, first edition, 2516 BE, Tong Deng Rom Dam, encased in gold. And one more coin here is also mine for VIPs, meaning these things don't go in my shop online until much later, so VIPs get the chance to contact me and ask if they're interested. And if they go in their shop, VIPs get a different price because they spent lots of money with me over time, and so they get a special price. And so sometimes people contact me and say, "I know I'm not a VIP, can I have this amulet?" I'll say yes, and I will drop the price anyway, but not the same as super VIPs who really have spent over 10 years with me, money every month or every 2 months, some people every week. And but if you contact me and save me the effort of doing 80 photographs and writing for 12 hours on the internet to put it in my website, then of course I'll drop the price, because you'll save me a whole day of work. It takes me a whole day to post something like this. So either Thailand-Amulets at outlook.com or line ID Thailand-Amulets, all small letters, one word. This is Lumpo Ring, Wat Bang Bakok, very famous for his Luk Om, Pong Prai, and different kinds of Pong Wan and Pong Putakun, his powerful sacred magic powder balls, and his coins, and many amulets. Lumpo Ring is famous for many kinds of amulets. This particular coin is the Rien Run Song, so it's the second monk coin amulet he ever made in his trajectory, official release of Lumpo Ring of Wat Bang Bakok, Bangkok, and released in 2516. So it's the second edition coin ever released by Lumpo Ring, and very, very difficult to find indeed. And on the back, it was released also for Wat Plap. That's why I got confused with the other amulet. I say Wat Plap, I meant this one. This one was made for Lumpo Ring, made by Lumpo Ring, but he, apart from releasing at his own temple, he put this on the back because it was an edition made to raise funds for Wat Plap in Thonburi, yeah, probably for the building of a Buddha or to repair something, yeah. So it was a meritorious act of Lumpo Ring with his second coin ever made to use the funds to help another temple, not his own. Comes with gold casing. This one, I'm sorry, is already sold, but just to show you, is the Rien Lumpo Ki of Wat Hu Shang, first edition coin in Ner Tong Dang Rom Pu, this beautiful reddish tone copper from the year 2513 BE, Rien Rup Khai Lumpo Ki, Wat Hu Shang. And actually this is a pristine amulet, beautifully encased. I'd like it to be a bit wider to see the whole image of the coin, the edge, but still very beautifully encased. I'm sure if you entered this in competition, you'd get a first prize trophy for sure. Sold already, not available anymore in the moment, this particular one. Look at the rear face. You have a Yan Ong Prat, but has 8 layers. Usually you only have 3, yeah? Yeah. And so 8, probably to do with the 4 kinds of enlightened beings who are 8, yeah? And the date of release 2513, various sacred nat, and information about the temple. Around the bottom of the coin. And this is the Rien Law Boran Pim Prat Somdet Kang Dok Bua, with lotus flowers each side of the Buddha. Kang Dok Bua means Pim Lek, small version of Jiao Kun Tiang, yeah. Wat Rakang, Jiao Kun Tiang's abbot of Wat Rakang Ko Sitaram, yeah. And not quite sure of the date of this. As you can see, this is made with, you can see it's metallic, yeah. You can see it's made, you can see it's made with ancient forging methods here, yeah. And look at the back is Lang Riap, but you can see the lines where still has been forged, stamped, but you can still see the lines of where it has been laid, yeah, and filed, of course. And most of these lines come from filings, because after you forge a coin and stamp it, there will be some nurker and extra, yeah, and of course then you will have to file off to increase the beauty and straightness of the amulet for encasement. And this is where you get these file markings from, yeah. And the file markings of an authentic amulet, once you've seen one, will help you to recognize how they should look on amulets of that edition. So it's interesting to look at file markings always, yeah, of the amulet. You can see they're going straight downwards vertical, and on the top filed down, but on the edges they're filing sideways, yeah, and you can see lines. So you would know this particular amulet, that would be something you would look for, wouldn't it be, yeah, of the Rien Law Boran Pim Prat Somdet Kang Dok Bua Pim Lek Jiao Kun Tiang Wat Rakang. I would say Jiao Kun Tiang, I think he became abbot in about 2505 or something, or somewhere between 2505 2509. So it will be somewhere between, let's say, 2505 to 2510 in my estimation, this amulet. But who knows? Because Xiao Kun Tiang was, before he became abbot, he was hanging around with Lumpu Nak, the abbot of the time, and Lumpu Hin, his accomplice, yeah. And also got to know Lumpo Su Pot of Wat Tat. And actually, they were like the Goonies, the four friends of Buddha magic. So you can usually assume anything from Lumpu Hin or Lumpu Nak, yeah, or Xiao Kun Tiang of the time 2500 to 2509 BE, something like this, yeah. That you're probably going to have 2, 3, or 4 of those masters all involved in the blessing ceremony. So I think I'll just end there and just finish with leaving a picture of what was one of my favorites. Sorry, the Rien Lumpo Ring from 2514. Sorry, I said 2516. 2514 BE, sorry. From 2514 BE. Why did I say 2516? So many amulets get confused. Lumpo Ring, yeah, of Wat Bangkok, one of my personally collected masters. From the year 2504 BE in Tongdang Romdam, with heavy gold casing. Absolutely beautiful amulet, and not an easy amulet to find at all. Released for Wat Bangkok, not Wat Plap. Wat Bangkok, that's it. I got mixed up again. I'm really sorry. This was released directly at Wat Bangkok. The other one, I was right, saying released for Wat Plap. This one, direct, Wat Bangkok, Lumpo Ring, 2nd edition, Neom Amulet. So this is my favorite of this particular clip. And define it again properly, because I gave false information on the back there, getting mixed up. So, Rien Run Song, 2nd edition, Lumpo Ring, Wat Bangkok, Bangkok Temple, from 2514 BE in Tong Dang Romdam, and gold casing, yeah, with a picture of the Buddha image, obviously from Wat Bangkok in Thonburi, because Lumpo Ring is a Thonburi master. So Ajahn Spencer with Amulet School for the Thailand-Amulets channel on YouTube, signing off.